Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How is everybody today? I pray that all is well. I pray that you all are having an amazing day. Um, and that, be thankful God woke us up this morning. I'm happy to be in the number. So, on our last video, on my last podcast and video, we talked about our oil and how we use it, um, and how even the smallest thing or skill or gift that we have, that's our oil, and how to use it. So today we're going to discuss how not to use it. And we're going to talk about the unhealthy patterns um, that we pick up from our traumas and our past. So, as always, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your support more than you know. As I said before, this is my oil. And I pray that you are empowered and encouraged by these messages that I'm giving. I want to hear from you. Comment, comment, comment. I love to engage. Um, so I want to hear from you. And I will definitely try to respond in a timely manner. And I just pray that God continues to give me the words to share with you. So, my subject for today is how we use our oil in a negative way, how our traumas shape um, us, and some other characteristics that we develop along the way, our survivor skills and survivor characteristics that we hold on to and cling to even when we are walking in our healing. So, even in our healing, let's just get right on into it. Oh, and by the way, you like my t-shirt? I love it. All I need is my Bible, lipstick, and my pumps. Yes, can you see that? Actually, here you can see the mug. Isn't that cute? Love it. I'm trying. I want you to be able to see it. There you go. I love this. I love this. Love this. Love this. I love my coffee too. That's terrible. I need to take a break from it. All of my sisters are on this my sister friends are on this health kick where they're tossing away sugar and coffee. Oh, an abomination. I need that in my life. Um, shouts out to them, but I'm struggling over here. I need my coffee. And eating healthy is not my strong suit. Ask me no questions. I will tell you no lies. Okay? So, oh, and if you're interested in my t-shirt and my mug, you can check out my other website, www.shalimarsheree.com. That is CHALIMARSHREE. Yes, my parents are strange. They spelled that really weird. .com. And you'll find this shirt as well as a few others that I wear from time to time. Um, the Believe shirt that I wore in the last video. And there is an option there to make custom t-shirts. So if there's something that you want on a shirt, I can absolutely put it there. I do business cards and marketing promos for other businesses as well. There's a host of things on there. If you want to check it out, check it out. I appreciate your support. But let's get right into this. Um, you know, geez, where do I begin? Um, as we're on this healing journey and we get to a place where we know and understand and accept um, that we need to heal, and we are trying to walk in our gifting and launch the vision, sis. Um, you want to make sure that you are not bleeding on the people. And what that means is you are sharing your message to encourage and empower and not just um, lashing out and using your platform, your voice in a negative way. You want to make sure that you're ready to share your gifting with the people. You don't want to just get out there and just, in haste and be um, and bash. You can be honest without bashing. You can be candid without slander. You can tell your story without demeaning or bringing down another person. You don't want to do that. When you decide, if God decides that that is your platform and your position is to share your story, you want to make sure that you are an active participant in your healing journey. You want to make sure that you are actively doing the work to heal. Um, and as for me, I'm sharing my journey with you as I'm on it. But I'm grateful to God that He waited until I was absolutely ready to share, where it wouldn't come from a place of anger. Um, it's okay to be hurt. You're entitled to your feelings and your emotions. But you can't live there. And you can't allow those things that you've gone through and survived and things that people have done to you to change your heart. And so when you decide that you want to step out on faith and open yourself up and pour out, just be certain that you're pouring out the right thing, the right energy. Um, and again, your healing journey requires you to be an active participant. Because if you don't, you will be doing more harm than good, and you don't want that. You want to be effective, E with an E, not effective. They're two very different things. And so, in being effective with an E, it's you're gonna you want to stimulate change. You want to encourage and empower somebody else to move forward in their healing. Um, I know that's my goal, and that's why I'm here. I want to encourage someone to heal and change. And I never want to bleed on the people because I'm hurting. And so if I'm hurting, then I need to not. I need to keep my mouth closed and get through that hurt and then move forward in that. But if you're actively hurting, uh, you'll definitely do um, more harm than good. So let's talk about these unhealthy patterns that we develop while we're in the situations that we're in, and how our traumas can um, help us to develop some of these unhealthy patterns. I call it survivor mode. When you're in survivor mode, you know, you develop some really good skills and you develop some really bad ones, depending on the depth of your trauma and what it looks like for you. Um, and so I found this woman in the Bible. Y'all know I like my ladies in the Bible. Um, and you will be surprised how many stories and situations in the Bible relate to today. When they say there is nothing new under the sun, my God, there is nothing new under the sun. So, this interesting woman that I found in the Bible, y'all know I use my notes because I never want to feed people the wrong food. And I may not be pronouncing her name correctly because I'm not a Bible scholar, but I can read. So, her name is Athalia, and she's considered a pretty angry broad. I mean, this chick, she needed a whooping or two. Okay. So, you know, at a glance, this woman just appeared just super nasty. Just she was like ambitious and hateful. I mean, we all know a few of those. Let's be real. Um, she was just I mean, in short, she murdered her own grandchildren in the name of ambition. How about that? It don't get no worse than that. Like you just gonna kill off your entire bloodline to get to where you need to be. And I'm sure we all know some people like that who will cut family, friends, loved ones down in the name of ambition. And literally, there are some who will attach it to the name of God. The lies you tell, God ain't sanctioned that. He ain't sanctioned you to destroy nobody else in his name for your own ambition and your own advancement. Y'all better stop lying on the Lord. But we all, I'm sure, at some point in our lives have come across a person that operates in that manner. And I mean, this woman here, I was like, Lord, Okay. She killed all the grandkids off, or so she thought, because God always got a ram in the bush. And what is done in the dark will definitely come to the light. And if you are doing wrong, God will definitely shut you down. Some of you call it karma. I call it God's good grace. So, okay, so I'm a little petty. God is not petty. Let me be clear. God is not petty, but I am. And I'm working on that. And He's working on me. I keep telling you, I'm a work in progress. I'm on my healing journey. And so I'm a little petty, a little shady, but it's all in fun. You gotta laugh. So she done killed all the grandkids, the devil that she is. Um, After her husband and her son um died, and they were the kings of Judah. And if you want to read more about this, you can go to Second Chronicles chapter 22, verse 10 through 11, to get a little bit more information on this person. And so she grew up in a wealthy family. Um, she was the granddaughter of King Omari and the daughter of Ahab, King Ahab. He was married to Jezebel. So you can just about imagine what that family makeup was, okay? Um, Now it's not really clear on if she was actually Jezebel's daughter. We know that, kings and men back in those days were allowed to have multiple wives. So we really don't know if she was Jezebel's daughter, but I mean, if she lived in the house with Jezebel, we can imagine what that influence was like, because that old heifer, honey. Hmm. So, he was married to Jezebel, and it just lit you. I mean, you want to talk about it, Lord? It's not funny, but it is funny. Like, Jesus, this poor child didn't stand a chance. That influence was downright terrible. I mean, Omari was idolatrous. Um, they worshipped false gods and false idols and all that good stuff. She needed therapy. Okay. In short, she had to have needed therapy, living in that. Uh, I mean, good Lord Jesus. So imagine coming from that kind of a family, okay, where they chased ambition, they idolized, power and money and stature, uh, and image. Um, you know that influence had to be just downright terrible. And I'm sure that influenced her choices, and it also came back to bite everybody. Okay, because when you teach a child, when you show what you show your children is ultimately what, the example that they're going to follow. So if you operate like that, I mean, Jezebel was nothing short of, I don't even, that's not a nice word that I can say about her. But again, another person who chased stature and image and power. um, and so that's a heck of an influence to be surrounded by. And so in turn, she grew into be someone who was very power hungry, and she went to great lengths to secure her position and what she thought she was entitled to. Okay. Just violent and evil. Now think about it. How many young women have witnessed and grew up in these types of environments where they watch their parents, um, their mothers, um, use every ounce of, I don't, deceit, um, lies, manipulation, what we would call today pure flat out narcissism. Um, and then they go out into the world and they operate like this. They feel like the world owes them something. They lash out at any and everybody. They don't trust people. You don't trust nobody because you can't trust you. You can't trust yourself. Um, and so, and it's like, again, the trickle down of trauma. So because of the actions of the people that came before her, the home that she was reared in, those nasty traumatic behaviors trickled down to this poor child. And she then, in turn, grew in that and walked in that, to the point of literally murdering her grandchildren. Mm, my God. And people like that tend to deny their behavior. They are what I like to call a throw a rock and hide your hand type of person. Um, and they blame their problems on everybody else. You know, they just don't like me because, or um, I'm this way because I did this because of somebody else. It's never really any ownership um, of their own actions. Or they have like self-esteem issues. They grew up poor. They have body image issues. They feel like they're ugly. Somebody's always picking on them. Somebody's always doing something wrong to them, and they fashion themselves as victims. Now I don't know for sure if that was her thought pattern, but something drove her to kill her own grandkids. I just can't get past. I don't know about y'all, but I just can't get past. You killed your grandchildren for a throne, for power, for an image. Nobody was safe. If you will kill your grandchildren, Lord, I hope you ain't had no friends, no homies, honey. Mm-mm. No, ma'am. So, you know, but they use victimization as an excuse. And again, they're just trapped in their own mind. And because the trauma trickled down, they chose not to use their traumatic experience as good, but as an excuse to be evil, as an excuse to do wrong. Um, and so we have to be mindful on this journey of healing that we don't allow our trauma to uh, position us in a place where we are operating um, like her. Don't get so caught up in what it's not healing, basically, because you ain't healed. And some people will fashion it in the name of healing, but it's not, and think that I have got to become something great at all costs to outrun my past. And so I'm going to run over anybody in my path. That's not healing. You are literally embodying and morphing into um, the negativity that fashioned your trauma in the first place. It's like the oppressed have now become the oppressor. And you want to be very careful of that. And so while you're on your journey of healing, you want to be mindful not just of healing from the experience. And once you get past, the healing from the experience, and again, it's ongoing, but also evaluate you and truly get to the root of how it affected you. And when you get to the root of how it affected you, you will pay attention to what you carried over from that. Um, I'm a girl mom. I also have a son. But what I realized from my experiences, um, from being assaulted, is I became very, very, very hyper overprotective of my daughters. We didn't do sleepovers. No, they can't stay. I'm sorry. They can come for a little while. I'll be outside because everybody got an uncle, cousin, brother, somebody. That ain't right. And that was my mindset. And so my girls didn't do sleepovers. But everybody was welcome to sleep over here. You can come stay at my house all day, every day. I've always had oversized furniture. I love a big sectional. Um, and people couldn't understand around me why I always had a house full of children. Yep, I want your kids to be safe, but more importantly, I want mine to be safe. And if I have to put up with all these children in my house to keep my girls safe, then that is what I will do. That wasn't healthy because I drove myself nuts. I always had a house full of children under the guise of I'm keeping my kids safe by allowing all these children to overrun my house. My oldest is 23. You want to know what my carpets look like? Don't make no sense. Don't come over here, break up my stuff, fight. And I allowed it because I thought that I was, keeping my children safe. And I was to some degree, but It was a bit manic. It was a lot of manic. That's just being honest. Um, but there are a lot of unhealthy things that I did because I developed these characteristics from my trauma. What I do thank God for, um, I did go through a period of mean, um, hateful, not being so nice because of my trauma. But when I truly became active in my healing, I recognized those things as wrong, and I chose not to operate in that anymore. And I worked very hard to come away from that. Now, let's just say it was a two-edged sword because I went from being not so mean to being overly nice. Like because I had to work overtime to be a nice person. And I mean, I was working overtime because that didn't come easy to me. I was very overprotective of myself. And so I ended up going from one extreme to another. And so being overly nice opened up a whole new can of issues. I'm like, good Lord, like I came, I thought I was doing well by not being so mean. Um, and manipulative and all that great stuff and not so great stuff to being overly nice, which landed me in a whole other pit of being taken advantage of and me feeling like, okay, but I have to be nice, you know, it's God's way. So, I'm just gonna lay down and be a doormat. Yeah, well, that's a lie. I wasn't supposed to do that either. So I thank God for balance. But if I wasn't active in my healing, I would have never figured any of that out. I would probably just be a mess. um, and so now I've found that happy balance, the happy medium. um, I'm not so abrasive, but I'm also not a doormat. I found the happy medium. I am okay with setting healthy boundaries, and I don't feel any way about that. And I don't care who you are. If you are going to do me more harm than good, then there will be a firm set of healthy boundaries laid out. If you mean me, some good, and you are somebody that God has sent to um, encourage and empower me, then I have to set boundaries for myself to not be so giving and not um, and do things within reason. So coming out of trauma will definitely sometimes you just get stuck into one extreme or the other, but you have to find that happy medium. And that's a struggle, and again, it's something that I've gone through. And so this woman, Athalia, resonated with me because she went all the way to the other side. Like she there was no happy medium. Like she went there and she stayed there. um so much so that she was willing to uh, kill her grandchildren to get to where she needed to be. And, that's extreme, but it ain't far fetched. You don't have to kill your grandchildren, but you will walk over friends, family, hell, your own children to get to where you need to be, because you don't want to fail and you don't want to lose. And I don't want to be my past. And, I have to, be better and do better than what my mother did and what this one didn't do. And you'll find yourself um, in that extreme box, and you don't want to do that. So, as you're going through your healing journey, be mindful not just of the things that you have survived, but the baggage that you collected on the way, the baggage that you collected on your journey of survival, because that was a whole other journey. And just because you got off the train of trauma and hopped on the train of survivor, that came with a whole other set of issues. And then when you jump off that one and you get on the plane of healing, remember that plane can only hold so much weight. And when you start cutting the baggage of the past, be sure that you evaluate the characteristics that you have developed along the way. Keep the good, shake the bad. Because, yes, as survivors and victors, we do develop some unhealthy habits, and develop some unhealthy characteristics. And sometimes it's hard to shake survivor mode. And even when you believe you're healing, sometimes you're walking through what you consider healing, but you're on autopilot. You're not really changing gears. You're not really raising the wheels. You're not really doing um, all that you should be doing. You're just scratching the surface. But you got to really get down deep and pull that thing out from the roots so that you don't become an Athaliah. You can't get so wrapped up in the I've got to outrun my past. I've got to be better than, those that did me wrong. I got something to prove. I'm going to show them. Well, while you showing them, you better be showing yourself so that you can show up for yourself. There's a big difference um, in showing someone and showing up for them. And while you're trying to show them, you're still bleeding, hemorrhaging almost, because you're going to spend all of your time trying to outrun those stigmas and what you feel people have done wrong to you and the things that you have survived, and you are exhausting yourself. You're on a hamster wheel and you're just going and going and going and going and going, but you're not getting rid of any of the baggage along the way. And it's like running with weights on your feet. And you might think you're going fast, but you're not. And you have to be mindful of that, because it will destroy you and what you think you're working for. Um, and so you have to pay attention to the signs, and you will know. When you do something that you don't have any business doing, God will convict you right then and there in the moment. Your conscience, if you have one, will definitely uh, give you a ding, ding, ding. Like that alert, that bell that you hear when you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you get an alert every time I upload a video. Well, every time you do something wrong, your conscience rings an alarm. Now, whether you acknowledge it or not is up to you. There are some people who don't acknowledge it at all, could care less to acknowledge it, and they will still continue to move forward how they are. Um, but you shouldn't do that. Be mindful of those ill characteristics that you carry along with you. Pay attention. Ask yourself, what unhealthy patterns um, have I created? Have I carried along with me and that I need to release? Be mindful of who you are. And when you carry that negativity along with you, it dims your light and who you're supposed to be, because those things don't belong to you. You've picked them up from your negative experiences, and you are still walking in victimhood because you've allowed those negative experiences some level of control over you if you're carrying them around. We're not doing that in this season. We're not victims in this season. We are victors. And so we are going to cut the bag short. We're going to leave it by the side of the road and become who we are supposed to be. You cannot blame the world forever. At some point, you have to take control over your healing and your destiny. At some point, you have to change the course because you have the power to do so. You have the power to shift. You just got to tap into it and know that it's there. Um, and regardless to what you've come from, regardless to what you survived, regardless of your familial attachments, that's their stuff. It don't have to be your stuff. You have the power to stop it with you. You have the power. I cannot stress that enough. Um, and when you make the decision to change your course, um, and break those family curses, just make sure that you're doing it with some balance and you're not going from one extreme to the other, because that can cost you something. And really, how much are you really willing to keep giving now that you have some control to those traumatic experiences? When do you stop feeding that beast? It's a personal decision, and you have to choose. And the choice is you. Choose you. I chose me. I'm not feeding into that. I'm no longer going to feed that. And I refuse to be a victim. And as long as I carried around those issues, those characteristics, I was still allowing myself to be victimized. Yeah, not in this season. I want all the smoke. My healing is mine, and I'm taking it. And it's promised to me. God is not a man that he should lie. And I know full well my father did not lie to me. And so I'm going to be healed by any means necessary. And I don't care how many nights I have to cry, how many times I love my husband. Let me tell you something. When I got serious about my healing, this man, I have to give him his flowers because you can't imagine um for a man to love a woman out of trauma. You got to be God designed, honey. And he loved me clean through it. There have been many a moments, many a night, many a day that this man has picked me up off the floor in a heap. I mean, bawling, tears, it's not all of it. Just laid out like God help me. And literally, he will just walk in the room when I'm in that space, and he will just pray over me and go right on about his business, like God. And but it was because I became active in my healing, and I not only wanted to heal from those traumas, but I wanted to change those characteristics. And not for anyone else, but for me, because I wanted to be okay with the person that I looked at in the mirror. I wanted to be, um, I wanted that reflection to be me and all that God wanted me to be, and not what um, the world said I was. And so I didn't want to be an Athalia. I didn't want to destroy or hurt anyone to get to where I needed to be. And I didn't want to bleed on the people. I actually wanted to heal. And I want to encourage people to heal and help them on their healing journey because in doing that, that made me feel good. And so I just want to encourage you on today that while you are on your healing journey, be mindful of not just healing from the traumatic experiences, but the residue, the characteristics, the patterns the survival patterns that you developed along the way. Those need to be evaluated as well, and they are part of your healing because some of them are just not good. And you don't want to be an Athalia. You don't want to be annihilating people and killing people, their spirits, trying to break them mentally, diminishing them to feel better about yourself. You just don't want to be that person. Don't be the throw the rock and hide your hand person. Okay, they're just not good. Um, and again, let her story uh, be a reminder of what generational trauma can bring. She is a direct result of just generational foolishness and the environment that was set for her. And she made the choice not to walk out of it, but to walk in it. And if you go read it, like I said, it's in Second Chronicles 22 and 10. Um, you'll see. You can read more about her. And yeah, a mess, honey, a mess. She needs a whooping. But I thank you for tuning in today. I appreciate your support. Um, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you want to catch this on the go. My podcast is now available on all major digital platforms. Glory be to God. Check out my sister Tamita Brockington's new book, Marriage is Not a Fairy Tale. Um, It is an awesome read, even if you are not married, maybe just a wife in waiting. It is worth it. And you can get that at tamitabrockington.wixsite.com. Check out my other sister. I love my sisters. I don't have many, but I do. The ones I got, honey, they love me. And I appreciate them for loving me even at my worst moments and still there. So check out my other sister, Lisa Tate Stevenson, in her new book. Have you ever heard a butterfly cry? This is truly a testament of going from trauma to triumph. Awesome, awesome read. Get your tissues, find yourself a corner because you're gonna need it. You can get that at Lisa V. Tate Stevenson .org. You can also check out her podcast, Let's Talk Relationship, Not Religion. Um, and I promise you, you won't be disappointed. Also, be on the lookout for my first written work, She Emerged, the Manifestation of Me, where I will discuss some pivotal traumatic moments in my life and how I've overcome them. And it just touches on my journey just a little bit. I promise not to bore you. It'll be interesting and informative. And it, just like the platform, it is, I wrote this book to encourage and empower. So if you're looking for salacious, you won't find it there. And I just pray that God continues to give me the words. I cannot say that enough. But thank you for joining me. I pray that you have a blessed day. And as always, the sun rises alone every day and still manages to shine. The moon rises alone every night and still manages to light someone's way. Be the lights and don't let anybody dim yours. I love you. God loves you. You are capable. Launch the vision.